I'm Robin Wellens and my husband David. We live in Tampa, Florida, and we were introduced to this light technology about 5 months ago when my husband was experiencing some health issues, which I'll tell you about a little bit later. And I've been on the patches actually for 3 months. We were introduced 5 months ago, but I wanted to get my husband better before I actually started them myself. So we're very thankful to our friend Janice LaBouche, who introduced us to the patches. And I don't think she quite understood how much goodness would come from them. I knew she knew they'd be great for me, but personally, I suffer with MS, and I had a lot of things going on, and I started writing everything down, but there were a lot of things that happened for me that were happening over time, and I didn't even realize. I really went to the patches initially because I Peloton, and so my hands were numb from riding the bike. The grip, I was gripping maybe too tightly, and so I was trying to wear X39 to see if my hands would go unnumb. So I was wearing them, and all of a sudden, 4 days into it, I realized that my gait, my walk, when I walked to the mailbox every day, I was no longer having a drop foot, which I was experiencing, gosh, probably for the last year and a half. So I've had MS for about 10 years, but that was something that happened 4 days in with just X39. So I wrote that down. I couldn't wait to write that down. Then
so just to clarify what a drop foot is in your gait, sometimes you can have some difficulty with one leg or the other. And she didn't have as much control with one foot. So it was almost like you were walking with a flipper on one foot and a high heel shoe on the other one. So the coordination just wasn't there. So that's what she means by the drop foot. It would just kind of flop down and slap as she was walking.
You would hear my foot slap the ground. It was quite annoying. So that's gone. When I wear the X39 patch, it's gone. When I don't have the patch on, it comes back. It's the strangest thing, really. Then go to the next week. So 13 days in, I started experiencing, I have leg pain and lower back pain at night. I have a lesion on my spine, and it presses against the spine, and it just causes pain. So during the day, I'm pretty good, but it's at nighttime that I have most of my pain. Well, 13 days in with just X39 again, I started sleeping better. My pain wasn't there. It would come and go. So Janice said, try Ice Wave. So I tried it, and immediately, I mean, within probably minutes, my back pain went away. Okay, my leg pain was still there a little bit. Well, then I watched a call with Dr. Patty, and I couldn't get enough of just learn. And I was watching Dr. Patty, who also suffers from the same disease. And I heard her talking about the full body patch, the full, I think that's what it's called. Is that right, Marcy?
Yeah.
I thought, well, you know what? We only have one pack of Ice Wave. So I told David, we are going to have to order more because we are both using it. And Dr. Patty said she used 2 on the bottoms of her feet and then 2 like right here on your shoulders. So I thought, I'm doing it. I'm doing it tonight. So I tried it, and I couldn't believe it. My pain was gone. It was unbelievable. These are things that I never, I'm sorry. And I never thought this little Band-Aid looking like thing would ever do anything. I fought Janice for months, really, because I was just trying to get my husband better, but I never thought that it would do anything for me, because when you have something like MS or any autoimmune issue, you never really, I believe in the healing power of God, and I do believe that that will happen. I do, and I claim that. I just didn't think it would come via Band-Aid. So now I wear the patches every day, and it just, and another thing that it really, I have a list so long you can't even imagine, but these are the most important things I feel like at this moment. Probably for the last 10 years, when I was diagnosed with MS, I've had a bladder issue. My bladder issue is different than everybody else who has bladder issues. My issue is that my bladder, when I go to the bathroom, it doesn't drain all the way. So it could cause a multitude of other problems, because if you don't drain your bladder, that can cause problems. So I would have to be in the bathroom forever just to pee. So whenever I go somewhere, I have to explain to people, I might be a little bit, I'll be okay. Just go about whatever you're doing and I'll be out in a minute. Well, when I wore the X39 patch, again, ever since I've worn it, I don't have that problem. I do not have that problem. When I take the patch off, I don't have the problem for the first few hours. But then I go to sleep and I don't notice. So in the middle of the night, I have it just a teeny bit, but it's gone. It's gone. Wow. So I claim a victory. In the name of Jesus, I claim a victory. Well, the last thing I want to say is I did try the energy patches, because with MS comes fatigue. Well, I don't have time for that. I have a busy life. So I thought I'd try the energy patch one day, and I put the energy patches on, and I went out to the garage to clean the garage, which is something I can't really do because of the heat. Heat affects me. Well, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I cleaned the whole garage. I scrubbed the garage floor. He came outside and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm cleaning, which he's used to, because I love to clean. It's a sickness too. And so he said, "Well, I'll take over, Robin. You need to take a break. Go get some water or something." So I came inside and I cleaned the whole freezer, the refrigerator, the kitchen. I had so much energy. It was crazy. I took the patches off immediately. I'm like, I can't do this. I got to sleep.
When this all kicked off, I've had, gout kind of popping up on occasion. And so I'm not a big fan of big pharma. I never will be. When I was in the military, I had 21 years of not being able to decide what was happening. And, I was government issue property and kind of did that thing. So in my mindset, from the time you hit basic training, you're inoculated with everything of the sun. I mean,
so we both had everything.
Yeah. So, and that's actually where we met, was in the Air Force. So, when you go through it, within your first week, they kind of split up the shots roughly 2 weeks apart from each other. Within that window. So you go through these needleless inoculation guns that are just blasting in whatever they decided to put in there. And so you come out there, you see, you're coming out, your arm is kind of bleeding and everything from just having basically like 8 shots at once just jammed into a little cocktail, and your arm let go. So you got to hang around for a little bit there, do your thing. So I'm kind of under the mindset that a lot of the reasons that I'm having some of the issues with gout, if you look at what the root cause is, your body your body's only reacting to what you're putting in, and that's what's causing you to build up this uric acid, right? So your body naturally doesn't do, so you have to find what that trigger is. Well, as I went to traditional Western medicine approaches, anything could be a trigger, and you have these lists of foods that you can have out there. They're like, and they've always said it was a rich man's disease. So, okay, don't drink beer, don't drink red wine, don't eat red meat, don't have shellfish, and you have this long list. And then you pull up another website, and then you get another long list of foods that you can't have, but it's not consistent from one to the next. But the solution from them is consistent. Well, if you do this, we're just going to put you on alpurinol, and then you'll have to do liver tests regularly, and that's the solution that they have. It's a one-size-fits-all solution but we haven't gotten to what was causing the issues for everybody. So as this, and it didn't happen very, very often for that, but when I did have this last flare, it was really bad. I mean, I'd never had it because it had started in one foot, and my feet, we were joking that they look like Flintstone feet whenever I have a flare up. Now I'm blessed now to be able to work from home. So I can get away with not wearing shoes if I need to. And for a while there, it was like, okay, just to make it from the couch, because I couldn't bear the weight of blankets or anything like that. And if she turned in bed or anything that happened, I'm like, it's just bad juju. So I was sleeping on the couch. And at that point, my foot was huge. I mean, because it had been, a lot of times you hear it, if you don't know what the symptoms are in gout, you're like, oh, because the first time it happened, I was like, I think I broke my toe. And I was on a temporary duty down in Texas. And I was like, I don't remember injuring. I didn't remember anything odd that happened, but my toe just felt like it was broken. And it felt like it was hot to the touch. And so I had all these things going on. So finally I get back, I talked to my dad, and he said, well, son, I think maybe you inherited my metabolism. So when your body doesn't produce that, and the reason they have the medical solution for it is to change the way your body metabolizes the sugars and fats. And so you're basically, my diet was a toxic insult to my body. So way too much sugar going in, and you think, got to think beyond the sugar bowl. So that was going on, and that was a challenge. So at the time, my foot, I couldn't bear any weight on it. So Janice was kind enough to bring by a plethora of patches for us to try out, and she was like, let's get this under control. So we were like, okay, we're going to put a tan energy patch on your left foot. We're going to put the white patch on the right foot on the pad of it underneath. And then we're going to go ahead and put an ice wave patch at the point of the most pain. And then, so with the tan at the point of the most pain, and we did the clock method, kind of working around. And the way I can best describe ice wave, because I saw somebody before had asked what that was. So ice wave is kind of like the pain thing. And a way to look at it from an engineering perspective is, imagine a bridge clip. So basically, it's almost like these two patches are working with the electrical systems in your body. And this is the way I kind of understand it and explain it to people, that you're taking that point of pain and you're saying, I'm going to put a negative charge here, and I'm going to move this other positive charge around there.
Can you see? I'm trying to, okay, that someone's asking what that.
Yes, that's the ice wave. It's it comes in a silver sleeve. So it's almost like creating a little gap between that. So you think about, if your body has the electricity moving through it, we're coming up with another way for it to stop going between those 2 points. And by stopping wherever that neural, and that's why you're kind of moving around. This is the way I'm imagining it happening in my mind, because I can't just say, here's the solution. So I imagine it like almost like it's a bypass for that pain pathway. You're just shutting it down, and you're saying, hey, you two neurons separate. So it's almost like what it's doing in my mind of how it works out. So that's the way I kind of understood it. So we tried that little bridge clip thing. In addition, we were using carnosine on top of an X39 patch. So I had the X39 patch on my stomach. I'm like, okay, I've got all this pain in my leg. Why are we going to put a patch on my stomach? But I'll trust you, because at this point, it was just tremendous pain. I couldn't bear any weight on it. And so we started addressing it, and then it had shifted into both legs, which I've never had it at the same time. So
stop right there. Wait a minute. So he's saying he had probably at one time on one leg had 8 patches. Okay. So we were aggressively treating that, whatever Janice was telling us we were doing.
So we had carnosine on my foot. We had glutathione on top of an X39 stacking, which I didn't know that you could stack. But the way to think of it maybe is like an amplifier that's working on top. So that's kind of how it works. So you're just putting those two frequencies together and allowing that energy to reflect back into the body and kind of bumping it up a little bit. So just think of it like an extra amplifier or a power amp for a speaker system.
But now that we know that the gout disappeared from that foot, it jumped over to the other foot. It's never done that, ever, never.
So as it was coming down, I still couldn't bear weight on either one. So at the time, I was in a wheelchair for about 3 weeks. Wow. And
it was horrible. And so with him being in the wheelchair, I thought, I knew it. Those patches aren't working. I knew it. Even though they worked on the one foot, but we now know after taking many classes that that's what it did. It pushed it out. That glutathione and the carnosine and the X39, 49, it pushed it out, and then it jumped over to the other foot.
So in the process, it was just moving. So that's really what was going on. So there was things that were happening. I needed to increase my water intake because those things that are happening in your body that's telling it to move, those little nits of electricity that are happening, the water working with the patches is really what does it. So I needed to change radically my diet. I needed to change. So I just said, okay, here it is.
He's going to live on my diet.
Yeah. And at that point, I'm in a wheelchair. So she would put all the stuff that I would love to snack on out of my reach. So
he lost 25
pounds as a result of that. But that was a big thing, was let me cut out sugar. I'll just pound water, because I would realize when I'm feeding my body what it needs and not feeding it what it rejects, I have a better result. So working with diet, increasing water, eventually being able to exercise more, and then also using the X39 as the base of everything. So by telling my body, you are too young to be this old. So that was kind of, that Garth Brooks became kind of my theme song for a little bit with that. I'm much too young to feel this dang old.
So he's so much better now. He's out of the wheelchair. He's walking, talking. He's great. He's so great.
So I said, well, if it's working for this, if I'm getting these kind of results and I can now manage things better and I can take charge of my own healthcare, what else is going to be in there? So my wife recommended Nirvana for PTSD.
After taking so many classes, I thought if it worked for other people, we'll try that too.
So that is my go-to during the day, and it helps me to be on an even keel when I have a very high stress job. I'm a program manager now. I work as a contractor and support the VA. So I've got a geographically distributed team and a lot of deadlines, because we want to provide the best service possible for veterans. So that Nirvana is kind of my even keel. So that's the one placement for that one. I usually put it either here on either shoulder, kind of same spot that she does.
And if he doesn't wear it, I know.
She'll remind me.
I bring it to him.
With
this is our box of patches. So I don't know if you can see that.
You are so cute. You fell in love. You fell in love with my therapy.
We did. So now we have to get our son, who's older, he's 26. So we try to show him and he's like, it's a Band-Aid. Really?
Like, no, it's more than that. So I think in looking at where we're headed, light and frequency based healing and therapy is something that's very unknown to a lot of people. So obviously there's an opportunity to share with everybody out there. And we didn't start this with the intent of looking at it as a business by any stretch. But it's kind of funny because we just said, well, try this patch. It's working. Because they're like, why? It's not a wheelchair. There's no cane. There's no nothing. You're walking great. You guys are getting active again. You're going out and doing stuff. How did you lose weight? What all happened? And it's a game changer when you're willing to make the changes. It's not able to do everything on your own. You still have to take responsibility for those choices, but to be equipped for that and to put yourself in a in a stasis point that your body can do what it's supposed to do, and that you can optimize your workouts and everything, that's the game changer, is being willing to commit to yourself and to being consistent.